Few days ago, Joe Biden called Vladimir Putin a killer. Yeah, no kidding. So is Putin really a killer? What do Russians think of this diplomatic incident, or should I call it catastrophe? Let's find out. If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Konstantin and welcome to Letters to King. We're living in today's Russia explained by the insider you can trust. A few days ago, I could not believe my eyes. I opened the news sites that I usually watch, both Russian and American, European. You know, every morning I watch news from different sources. And they all had one news. The headline: Joe Biden called Vladimir Putin a killer. At first I thought it was like an April Fool's joke, but then I figured that was pretty serious. And you know, let me tell you something, that's not good. It really put me in a state of shock because I had not seen anything like this happen before in my entire life. Soviet Union, later Russia, nothing like that. A personal insult of the US president towards another president is something unheard of. Let's take a step back in history. Russia and the United States has a very harsh history of diplomatic relationship. The lowest point in the relationship between our two countries was the Caribbean crisis, no doubt about it. Back in the 60s, well, guess what? Nikita Khrushchev and JFK never insulted each other. Moreover, they treated each other with great respect. Later on, Leonid Brezhnev had blood on his hands of perhaps hundreds of thousands of people. Vladimir Putin is a child compared with Vladimir Brezhnev, yet no American president called him a killer. He was respected by the US presidents and by the US government. Moreover, he had a friendly relationship with Richard Nixon, the US president. They visited each other, they were buddies. Now let's turn the page and move to the US presidents. George W. Bush invaded Afghanistan in Iraq. He shouldn't have invaded. He didn't have any grounds to invade these two countries. It's a widely known fact that the American oil companies needed access to Iraqi oil. So George W. Bush invaded Iraq. Now, according to the very conservative estimate, 6,600 civilians died. That's children, mothers, elderly people. They died of American bombs and bullets. Civilians, 6,600. I've heard the number of 100,000 people. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Was George W. Bush called a killer? No, because he wasn't. He was the president making very bad decisions. Let's move to Barack Obama and his vice president Joseph Biden. Oh boy, don't even get me started. Joe Biden, as a very senior and experienced US politician, was in charge of America's international policies and actions. He invaded Libya. He toppled Muammar Gaddafi. How many civilians people were killed by American warplanes? Thousands? Were Barack Obama or Joe Biden ever called killers? No, never. They were treated with respect. In my eyes, they weren't killers. They were just presidents making tough and very wrong decisions. That's pretty much it. Now let's turn to Vladimir Putin. Is he a killer? I highly doubt it. Has he made any wrong and bad decisions? Oh, plenty. Like any other president. He's probably not the worst, but he's certainly not the best. But you know what? You cannot call him a killer publicly. He is a head of a great country, and a lot of people, overwhelming majority, voted for him to elect as Russian president. I do believe that the last elections were democratic, and Putin is absolutely true, real, democratically elected president of Russia. I made a video about that about a year ago, where I explained in details why Putin is the legitimate president of Russia. You know, the link is right here, check it out. Joe Biden calling Putin a killer. Well, first of all, if I was the president, I would ban ABC News from the White House forever, because I believe that the journalist had no right to ask this kind of question. He simply framed the President of the United States. He, by asking this question, provoking Joe Biden, he did a lot of harm to the country, okay? Donald Trump, a couple years ago, was asked the same question, by the way, and Donald Trump answered it very elegantly. He said something like, instead of looking at other nations and their leaders and calling them killers, let's look at our own politicians first. And you know what? Donald Trump was right in that instance. Joe Biden created a very bad precedent. It's a widely known fact that Vladimir Putin never forgets and forgives insults, personal insults, even small insults. But what happened a few days ago was a slap on the face in front of the entire world. And I'm pretty sure he will not forget and he will not forgive. Historically, the US Democrats have been very close to Russia and the Russians. And you know, I personally think Joe Biden made a mistake. I don't think I had suspicions that he's not very fit, health-wise, to lead the country. But then he's been proving my suspicions right. I don't think that man answering that question really knew what he was doing. Because if he did, he wouldn't have said what he said. That's crazy. I've never heard anything like that before. Anyway, what has happened ever since? Russia is mad. Russian press is absolutely furious. Russian people, overwhelming majority, the ones who support Putin, about 75%, they are mad. They are asking one question. How dare you, old, unfit, unhealthy, mentally unstable, demential old man, call our leader a killer? How can you do that? You know your place and know who you are, and they have every single right to have that opinion. Now what? What's going to happen soon? Well, first of all, this phrase could greatly dent the relationship between Russia and the United States. In my previous video, I explained how the Democrats did so much better in the first 50 days of presidency of Joe Biden rather than Donald Trump in the 4 years of his presidency. Check it out. The video is right here. Now there could be a crossroad. I think officially the administration and Joe Biden cannot admit that they made a mistake. They would like to save face. And they can do that by keep on playing hardball, by keep on blaming Russia for things wrong and right. Okay, that's one road. Another road is they can keep silence on the whole issue and secretly start talking to Russia, apologizing, trying to make this mistake up. We will see what's going to happen. We will see how things will be unfolding. But I would like you to note one more thing. Somehow it was covered very little in the American media. At the same time, when Biden called Putin the killer, there was a huge, magnificent, cosmic scale diplomatic scandal between the USA and China. The US Vice President was hosting a meeting with a Chinese delegation in Alaska that turned out to be a disaster. Figuratively speaking, these two delegations, two vice presidents of China and the United States, they had political fistfight. Chinese are absolutely mad. Chinese media has been blowing up about this. And I think what's going to happen is Vladimir Putin is teaming up with his buddy Xi Jinping. The Russians are going to team up with the Chinese, and let me tell you, Putin and Xi Jinping are going to strike back. I'm telling you why I really don't understand the US politics. It seems like the USA is pushing Russia into the hands of the Chinese. You see, Chinese is an evil empire, okay? They have the means and they want to change the world, and that's not to the better, okay? And the United States needs to pool all the resources to withstand China, because China is mightier and stronger at this moment. And Russia is one of the resources. The United States needs to befriend Russia and, turn it to its own side, the light side. Instead, it's been pushing Russia into the open arms of the Chinese, to the dark side. Well, let's see what happens. If you found this video interesting, please press the like button, and I'll see you soon.